up in high-wage, high-demand jobs. When you have industry relevance, as Dr. Stone suggested earlier today, if you have teachers that spend their summer out in industry learning what is happening in business in your community, they're going to come back with a perspective that's going to reinforce the student engagement. Because when students hear that the teachers went out and they were working in the oil field this summer and this is what's going on, that jazzes kids up. And that helps support the academic rigor of building in hard math into a CTE class. So it's a circle. This I know is really hard to read maybe, it's pretty little, but the idea here is that we build credentials, we build that a program of study, as Dr. Stone showed, you know, that little icon of the secondary, the post-secondary, the credentials. And so here's an example. This is an example in energy and power. So within the high school scenario, you could have a career cluster that would lead to potential certifications such as Microsoft or LabVIEW CLAD. I don't know what that means, but it's a certification that kids could get in high school. If they got that certification in high school, then as a high school graduate, they might be able to get a job as a lineman apprentice for $36,000 or an electromechanical equipment assembler for $43,000. This is a high-wage job that a kid could get right out of high school if they had those certifications that are in industry demand. You go on to the community college, they could get a certificate. Okay, San Juan College, I think, offers this kind of certificate already. Instrumentation and controls technology or national gas compression. These are looks like 1 year kind of programs, 32, 33 hours, 38 hours. And from that, they might become a precision instrument and equipment repairer, $50,800 a year with a 1 year training program. They could go on to an AA or an AS degree and end up as a power distributor or dispatcher for $78,000 or a substation relay repairer for $83,000. Or they might go on to university. And those jobs could lead to engineer and boiler operators, $83,000, plant utility engineer for $72,700. And the $72,700 versus this $83,780, that's that data that Dr. Stone was showing us earlier today, that there are a lot of less than bachelor degree jobs that are actually higher paying than the kids who are going on and getting the 4-year degree. And so should we always be pushing kids into that, oh, the best thing you could possibly do is go to UNM. It's not nearly as good to go to community college. Yeah. I don't know, if you want to stay living close to home in Farmington, you're probably better off going to the community college. Community college is going to set you up better for having a comfortable life in your community than going to the big university. And this is data. These are the kinds of programs that we ought to be thinking about and that we ought to be aligning, because every one of these builds on the one before it. And you have to have these relationships, secondary, post-secondary, and industry, so that you're making sure that you're doing what the industry needs in order to get those kids the jobs that they want. Okay, so back to academic attainment. We looked at this data yesterday. We asked ourselves, what do we need to do better on this? How do we, the kids have to be able to read, they have to be able to do math in order to succeed in those post-secondary credential programs. We looked at these numbers. We saw that we're going to need 3,300 kids passing the park statewide. Our targets came down some, but they are still higher than what we did last year. And we worked through this math to figure out how many students we needed for both of those 6S1 and 1S1 and 1S2. So we said statewide we need 630 students. How are we going to get those students? And so what one more slide. This is another way of visualizing the same data. And what this data is, the darkest one is the attainment. The blue one is the goal. So this is our gap. That's the 631 kids that we need in order to be successful according to the feds. But this is the total students. The difference between this dark bar and this tall pink bar is the kids that aren't getting academic attainment. Those are the kids that we continue to fail and that we continue to say it's okay. If we meet our state target, okay, that bar's a little smaller. It's still a big bar of kids that we aren't getting to the place where the post-secondary needs them to be in order for them to take on that next level of work to get those next jobs. Yeah?
I was going to comment, at our school, 85% of all incoming freshmen need developmental math.
Developmental math.
That's more high school grads.
Yeah. Who probably have GPAs of 3.0. Yeah. Yeah. 85% are not proficient. And I know nationwide, I don't know the statewide data, but I know nationwide, if students have to take more than 2 semesters of developmental, they'll never finish. They'll never finish. Somebody said this morning, I don't remember if it was Dr. Stone or one of our PED people, that high school is the last best free opportunity to become proficient, and we need to own that and recognize it as being a huge responsibility in a democratic country that we get as many of those kids as possible over the line. So we look at these subgroups and we say, what's going on? So this says statewide attainment, statewide target, statewide attainment. Okay, so there's our gap. And how are we doing on these in our subgroups? Where is the weakness? Where is the strength? So I marked a few places that I saw as particularly significant. 1S1 is reading, 1S2 is math. Look at the differences in gender there. Males are having a hard time with the reading, and females are having a hard time with the math. We have 55% enrollment female, roughly? Yeah. And so part of what's driving that low math proficiency is you get more girls going to college. More of your female students are going to college. Your boys are stopping. Your girls are going to college, but they don't have the math proficiency that even our boys have. Another place, look at our Hispanic. 56% of our high school students are Hispanic, and we are lower here than the statewide attainment in our Hispanic kids. Our Hispanic kids, and these are not necessarily ELL, or at least they're not being counted as ELL. These are your Hispanic. These are your traditional New Mexico families, often been here for generations, that are testing lower than even our state average. And again, that economically disadvantaged theme shows up in these data, that those kids who are struggling financially are also struggling academically. So here's what I'd like for you to do. At your table, I'd like for you guys to have a couple minutes to brainstorm. What are some things that you might do? There's a lot of bad news out here. How about we brainstorm a little bit and help each other think of some solutions? Okay? Have at it. Did you figure it out?